In this video, I'm going to take a simple comping rhythm that you probably already know, and then I'm going to show you how you can develop that and create a lot of useful material so that you don't always play the same rhythms when you're comping and become more free on top of the groove. And you have to remember, if you can comp, you can work. My name is Jens Larsen, learn jazz, make music. Throughout this video, I'm going to show you a lot of different rhythms and talk about how you develop rhythms. And once in a while, they also call for some more interesting chords. So there are going to be a few tricks and turns with that as well. You probably already guessed that the first rhythm, the most important rhythm you want to learn, is the Charleston rhythm. If you only know one comping rhythm, it should be that. You probably already know this rhythm, and I think chances are that you can also just take any song you know and then just play this rhythm through the entire progression. And you want to use that to set the standard for how well you need to know rhythms, because that's also how well you want to know the rhythms in this video and all the rhythms you're going to come up with yourself. The next thing you want to do is to take this rhythm and then add an extra note to it. Notice that this rhythm is a lot easier to play, and what we're doing is really that we're adding an extra note before the second note in the Charleston, but that's not the only option we have. Of course, you can also take beat 1 and then add an extra note there. So what I'm doing in this next example is that I'm adding a note after beat 1, and that way created just a basic syncopated rhythm. As you can see, what I'm working with here is really that I'm just taking the rhythm and then I'm trying to add notes around it and see how that sounds. And if it doesn't work, then I'm just gonna forget it. And if it works, then I'm gonna use that and try to get that into my playing. That's one of the basic things that I'm doing here. The other thing that I'm doing is that I'm also going to be shifting the entire rhythm around in the bar. And that really often gives you some really solid rhythms that are well worth checking out. That's the next thing we're going to do. Now we can try to shift the original rhythm. So if you look at the Charleston rhythm, it has a note on beat 1 and on 2 and. And if we move that an 8th note, then the first note is now going to be on the 1 and the second note is on the 3. Now that's a great rhythm, and I'm going to play that for you so you can hear how it sounds. And then after that, I'm going to show you how you can also add some extra notes and some chromatic passing chords. Now we're developing a lot of material, and you also have to practice so that you actually get that into your playing. And I think the way to start is probably to do the type of exercises that I'm using as examples here. So just take a simple vamp or maybe a single chord and get used to the rhythm like that. But the next thing you want to do is to take chord progressions and songs that you know really well, 12-bar blues, Ladybird, Take the A Train, really simple songs, and try to play this rhythm through that, because then you get really used to how it sounds in the context of a song, and it will naturally start to appear in your comping. This rhythm adds an extra note to the shifted rhythm that we just made, and that makes it feel a little bit like we have two notes that are upbeats and then it resolves on beat 3. And I make that even more clear by using a chromatic leading note just to get into that chord on beat 3. And the way you can play these chromatic leading notes on guitar is often really simple, because really all you're doing is that you're looking at the note you want to end on, and then you're just taking that voicing and shifting it so that you can resolve back into the voicing you want to hit. I don't talk a lot about creating tension with rhythm, but I do think that this is an example of how that works, where we have the two upbeats and they create some tension and then that is resolved. And this is definitely something that you can work with in a creative way in your comping, but also in your soloing. This rhythm is of course useful as a comping rhythm, but it's actually also found as a core part of the grooves in Boogaloo or soul jazz. And you can hear this in songs like Sidewinder or as a part of the groove of Alligator Boogaloo. What's happening here is that we're taking the original Charleston rhythm and now it's shifted an entire quarter note. So it's starting on beat 2 and the next note is on the 3 and. And that's actually exactly the accent pattern that you can hear Barry Harris play on Sidewinder. And just as a short side note, both Sidewinder by Lee Morgan and Alligator Boogaloo by Lou Donaldson are songs that you definitely want to check out and know. Now we can add an extra note to this rhythm, and as you'll see, I'm sometimes using a chromatic passing chord even though the extra note is on beat 3. But you can actually have chromatic passing chords and passing notes for that matter on heavy beats. When you use this, then it works fine for comping. It may be a little bit tricky if you want to use it for like a soul jazz or a boogaloo groove. And as I was the last time, the chromatic passing chord that I'm using is really just looking at where I want to go and then playing a chord that would just slide down to that so that it's easy to play. Now that you're improving your comping rhythms, then you probably also want to become more free when it comes to improvising with the chord voicings. And to do that, you need to group together the voicings so you don't have to remember 1,000 different things. And if you want to learn how to do that, then check out this video where I'm going over jazz chords in 3 levels and teaching you how to group them together and really improvise with them.